with, we ended it with the prideful comments and the fact that he was being degrading to women. Let's see. But now we're going to go to how financially Raniere may have been in business with Bronfman by having a third of an island. I know that sounds very odd, but I very much look at Raniere in a lot of respects here. That I don't even know how to say this. That Raniere was, maybe a pimp for them in a way. Obviously he was able to have sexual relationships with these women, but an island in Fiji, it's very, very, very odd to me. Okay? So when we talk about the tax evasion schemes and saving money here, let's see. It gets into this. The government also intends to introduce evidence of various tax evasion schemes employed by defendants and their co-conspirators. So this looks like the money laundering aspect. This looks like, again, Raniere kind of being a front man for the business of Bronfman. And then we talked about Nancy Salzman and Russell was keeping the books. These schemes involved elaborate corporate structures designed to keep money out of Raniere's name, even though he had access to and control of the funds. Now, I would contend I don't know whether he had full control over those funds. Okay? That's what I'm not sure about. The evidence will further demonstrate the defendants and their co-conspirators considered Raniere as having an interest in other properties and investments. So I think that's key too, because you're looking at, again, other properties and investments. And then they give this example. For example, emails indicate. Now remember, none of this stuff is in his name. He doesn't seem to have any money at all. Bronfman, according to these documents, is funneling people in, so trafficking people, and then using that money to be hidden in low cash amounts. And then Raniere somehow has a financial interest in 1/3 of her island in Fiji. It just seems extremely odd, and there's apparently witness testimony and documentary evidence will also demonstrate the defendant and co-conspirators advocating avoiding paying taxes and failed to timely file their own taxes. That's all rich stuff. How do you think they stay rich? They set up these foundations, these tax-free foundations. They funnel their money, they hide their money, they launder their money. And that's why this racketeering document is extremely important to point out that Bronfman is the one that had the financial tools to do so. And they can't prove Raniere had any financial ties in this, but somehow they're saying that it looked like he may have had 1/3 of an interest in her private island in Fiji. And we know that they were bringing people in through visas by falsely saying they had investment money, which they didn't have. So what is this? What is it really? Let's continue, okay? See. Did that not go through? I'm sorry, guys. We're trying. Nope, that one's not there. Let's see the conduit. All right. Is that it right there? Which page is this? 28? No, we want to get to the next one. The conduit commerce. And here we are right here. So it says here, moreover, the conduit contributions is also probative of motive and intent as the DOS related acts and charges, because the evidence at trial will demonstrate that one of the defendants and co-conspirators' purpose in forming DOS was to have a pyramid of collateralized, powerful women who could order to do things for him or order to vote in a group to turn elections. Now, in some respects, you're saying, okay, well, is that within the organization, elections? Well, there isn't a lot of democracy there. In fact, this document shows how many of these people were kept out and how they were kept out and how you could only advance so many ways and there would be a lot of excuses. But as we've shown before, and we're going to show you, okay, these elections could be actual elected officials because they had their money going to people like Hillary Clinton in the primaries illegally through campaign contribution funds for political influence. Oh, and by the way, remember when I said there were surveillance targets in that first video? Well, some of those surveillance targets were judges and prosecutors that were looking into NXIVM. And that will also be shown in this document. So let's continue on. And also on this page 29, there's another big part right here. So let's see. NXIVM affiliated organizations, or DOS, in some instances, the efforts to secure visas constituted immigration fraud. Remember we talked about that? They're getting them visas to come in here. As set forth in the government's motion regarding defendants' assertions to attorney-client privileges, NXIVM affiliate and Bronfman-controlled entities sponsored dozens of visa applicants. See, we're not talking, there's plenty of Jane Does here. Some of which were underage, by the way, it seems. There's plenty of Jane Does. And now we know that she's sponsoring dozens of visa applicants under the guise that they have some kind of investment potential when they don't. She's pled guilty to bringing people in illegally and forcing them to do labor without pay. I mean, again, that's part of this document that we haven't read because it's really not the juicier stuff. The juicier stuff is that she sponsored dozens of these visa applicants. Some of these visa applicants sought and obtained visas as research analysts for Bronfman-owned companies. Research analysts. Oh, but what were they? Oh, what were they doing? They were in fact employed at the Multicultural Development Specialists, or caretakers of children, by a separate NXIVM affiliated entity, Rainbow Culture Garden LLC. So this is going to be something that needs to have its whole own video. So if you didn't know, again, one of the affiliates is this children's school where they were bringing people in from other countries that Claire Bronfman had sponsored with fake information for visa applications, and they would be the ones taking care of these kids. Remember when I started this video that I said, one of the things that I haven't looked into too deeply is this school? Because, I take care of an 8 and 9-year-old, man, and it's tough enough just to go through this stuff and see what was happening to preteens and teenage girls and then women. And, the trail of chaos that this has led to. But to think that, again, this goes even deeper and darker, and a lot of the evidence suggests it does. So this is the one time the Rainbow Cultural Garden, okay, is mentioned. And that's something that really, really needs to be looked at. It's tough. So, I want to reiterate that. Dozens of these women were coming in and sponsored by Bronfman. They didn't have the money or the education they said they did. They weren't doing the job they said they did, and they were sending them to work with small kids. Yeah. Okay. That's something, huh? So let's continue on. We got some more to go through. At trial, the government will also introduce evidence that the defendants and their co-conspirators also assisted Ranieri's sexual partners, many of whom did not have legal status. Many of whom did not have legal status. We sponsored all these visas. They're working with children. He's a pedophile in entering or remaining in the United States. You see? Oh, so Russell, the bookkeeper, actually leased a place for them. By the way, they set up sham marriages. I just want to put that out there. The residence was used. This is, again, a residence that was under the bookkeeper's name, but really for Ranieri. The residence was used as a DOS slave who was not legally in the United States. Remember, not all these people were in there legally. Bronfman also made efforts to encourage the same slave to remain in the United States. As another example, Bronfman also assisted Jane Does 2 and 3 to enter and remain in the United States unlawfully. And one of those charges is actually one of the ones that she pled guilty to. And by the way, Jane Doe 2 had a sexual relationship with Ranieri, and Jane Doe 3 was later recruited as a DOS slave and was assigned to engage in sexual activity with Ranieri. Notice the sham marriages. The sham marriages. And here's a big one for you. It's finally revealed, not that most people didn't know, that Mac was indeed in a sexual relationship with Raniere. And so was, I believe she married a woman. Is that what they're trying to say here? But these were sham marriages. Let's read it. The defendants and co-conspirators also arranged sham marriages, often at Raniere and Bronfman's direction. Oh! So Bronfman was also setting up sham marriages, bringing people in with visas they didn't have, putting them in charge of children they probably shouldn't have been around. And her sister Sarah's been overseas for quite some time. It's very odd. But 21 to 72 months, and she can appeal if it's more than 27 months. $6 million. Huh. Yeah, that makes sense, right? For instance, defendant Mac, and she's no longer defendant. She pled guilty. She's probably going to be testifying against Raniere. Entered into a sham marriage with co-conspirator and fellow first-line DOS slave, so yes, another woman, and both women were in the heterosexual intimate relationship with Raniere, so that the co-conspirator, a Canadian national, could remain in the United States. So I'm sure we could find out who she married just to get her to stay so that she could be part of this really odd and sick group. Oh, you can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. So let's see. Let's continue on to page 32. Bam, bam. And all right, so they each participated in pledges of loyalty and sexual fidelity to Raniere. Each was involved in the same type of extreme calorie restriction and penances. So remember we talked about the collateral and those calorie-restricted diet and penances. Penances. Can't be too prideful. Can't have a mind of your own. Can't say no. After all, you're a slave in this very big empowerment group. Give me a break. Ugh. Drives me nuts that I have to read this stuff. Let's continue on this page. Let's see. Let's see. The government intends to offer evidence that before and after the founding of NXIVM, Raniere's co-conspirators groomed sexual partners for Raniere, including what? Here we go. One or more underage girls. Let's say it again. One or more underage girls. All these Jane Does. Dozens of visa applications. A children's school. 2 slaves that were kept in rooms. And when one left, they took her down to Mexico just like they said they would. Threatening her, telling her she couldn't have her birth certificate. For example, while Raniere was still running CBI, Consumers Business Byline, or is that a Consumer Byline? I'm sorry. He engaged in a sexual relationship with a girl beginning when she was 12 or 13 years old. And once again, I want to let people know that if you want to see the interview with that girl from many, many years ago conducted by the Times Union Center that now the FBI is supposedly looking into because of this documentation that's come out. Remember, all this stuff was available then. What took so long? And you also want to see hidden video of Raniere talking about having people killed. Please, please, please go check out Vanguard Exposed. It's one of the NXIVM videos that really didn't get a lot of views, but I think some of the most important information is in there. So let's continue on. Remember, one or more underage girls, the harem helping him, the organization helping him, a member of CBI who later became a co-conspirator in the charged enterprise, knew of the girl's age, knew of Raniere's relationship with her, and took affirmative steps to aid and abet the relationship in order to please Raniere. Let's get to page 34. Finally, the evidence of Raniere's sexual relationship with an underage victim prior to the formation of NXIVM, remember, CB, and his co-conspirators' role in aiding and abetting the relationship is admissible to prove motive, intent, plan, lack of accident, and lack of mistake as to the structure of NXIVM NDOS and the demands that Reni would make of people below him. Do you understand how this works? Underage victims. For years and years and years, people knew, people helped, people trafficked. No one's charged with child sex trafficking. No one's charged with child porn anymore. And that was in there. And look, in a separate video, we're going to talk about this document. Lots of documents coming out. We're going to do a lot of document deep dives here on NXIVM, where they had Reni and devices with alleged child pornography, and they allegedly accidentally copied it over for the defense and committed an alleged federal crime. And still, it's all alleged, and no one's being charged. Okay? So let's continue on here. I want to get to the next page. We're almost done. Just a few more key sections here. Now remember, they had groomed sexual partners for him. His subsequent sexual relationship with a 15-year-old girl. This is a separate girl than the 12 or 13-year-old girl he was having sex with before NXIVM was formed. This is what I was telling you about in the first video. Remember, if you haven't seen the first video where we knocked down the first half of this document, I really encourage you go back through. Because you shouldn't take my word for any of this. When we do deep research here, we do deep research. We put the document up. We read it for you. We let you make your own interpretation. You disagree with me? You're more than welcome to say so in the comments. Okay? So this 15-year-old girl, when she became an adult, would become the first member of DOS, the first slave in this women empowerment group. The extreme and criminal lengths to which his co-defendants and co-conspirators went to please him, and the extreme and criminal lengths to which he went in demanding absolute commitment from those above, he was charged in the enterprise. By the way, this girl is supposedly down in Mexico in another branch. Remember, that Mexican branch has ties to who? Salinas, the ex-Mexican president's son. Think about that. No charging there. All right? So, just so everybody knows, there's some lawsuits and copyright infringement stuff going on. They were so powerful. Let's get there. They actually had lawsuits going on. Now, this is how much money Bronfman and, I'd say Bronfman, Claire and Sarah had. Sarah has never been indicted. Again, she's overseas. I wonder if she'll ever come back to the United States again. But Salzman, Bronfman, they knew about this. And they had enough money to go with a copyright infringement suit against Microsoft and AT&T. This further shows the financial backing of Bronfman, okay? So then I want to jump to number 39. This is going to show you, again, how they were using Jane Doe 7's credit card, okay, to the tune of $10,000 a month. Okay, right there, Reni and one of his, I think the mother of his child, were incurring a $10,000 a month bill on a dead woman's credit card that I'm not even sure they reported as dead at that point. Identity theft, fraud, money laundering. Again, this is the racketeering document, the RICO document that brings it all together. And then the other big part worth noting here, remember, she's going to pay $6 million. She put $5 million into the legal fund of Reni right out of the gates. Right out of the gates, guys. Oh, so that's going to wrap it up for this document deep dive we did in two separate parts. And that's just the racketeering document. We're going to be doing NXIVM updates, especially to see what happens with this one part of the trial now. It doesn't seem like Claire Bronfman's going to be testifying at all. I haven't seen anything to suggest that. We'll probably go through her court appearance at some point and go through the entire transcript, check out the nuggets of possible admissions, but I doubt there's a lot there. Garagos is a veteran lawyer, not a great guy. When it was revealed that Michael Avenatti had been hired by this woman, she fainted in court. It's a real thing. I mean, the stuff is almost like a demonic cartoon level sideshow that you can't believe. But when you look at this stuff and you make the connections, it's more than believable. Guys, if you like this video, if you like research, please subscribe. Ring that bell. Go check out my other stuff over at We Are Change and Pulse Change. Put out 4 videos a day over there. I try to live stream here when I can. Obviously, you know, I'm trying to get that information out. So please share this stuff on social media as well. We're trying to build up. We hit 15K. Thank you guys so much. We're trying to double that. It's now the road to 30K. Once we hit that, we're going to be doing even more, and look for more AMA-style live streams as well as we progress with this channel. Thank you all again, and we will see you soon.